One interesting thing I want to note right off the bat is that Sea-Doo's actually playing Adaptation. This is to Adaptation those fears or those traps or those bashes for those CC setups. So Sneakier Snakes is going to want to get a huge CC setup onto Sea-Doo and then tunnel down Mez.
It looks like they want to go all in into Milkman. Everyone from Method Orange charges in. Adaptation over onto Sea-Doo. Big stuns going out onto Milkman. Sea-Doo needs to get those purges if they want to take down Milkman in the situation. Rapture, Archangel, everything committed by Milkman, though he still has that pain suppression for the next stun, so quite nicely done. He's trying to get away. Very nice knock there, getting away from Mez for a second, but Sea-Doo's all over him with those shears.
And that was the incarnation from Foxy as well, as he goes into that leg sweep and trinkets out immediately. So this is the offensive pressure here from Sneakier Snakes. That's True Shot, Incarnation. They really need to make offensive stuff happen, but Milkman's still in trouble. That's the Blood Elf Silence, that's the pain suppression fades, and the barrier fades. Milkman has nothing left besides one more trinket, and he's still dipping low in HP, 30-40% life, catches a shield or two, trying to get that Shadow Man as he's kiting around the pillar.
Mez in so much trouble. Sea-Doo doesn't have much healing for him. He's caught into the stuns. No Icebound Fortitude available as he gets lower and lower. Sea-Doo needs to keep him alive if they can continue this pressure on the Milkman. Milkman uses his second trinket, but Mez still in so much trouble. Sea-Doo throwing out that capstone onto Dilly, trying to slow down this damage. Bash over onto Sea-Doo if he gets caught into the trap. He has the adaptation, so maybe he can keep Mez alive. Milkman in so much trouble. Penance comes out. He's just trying to line of sight. He's trying to get away. Mind Freeze connects as he gets lower and lower. Bursting shot onto Sea-Doo. Full trap. Adaptation proc. So beautiful trinket choice there by Sea-Doo. Now Milkman's caught into the final stun potentially of the game.
Mez and Milkman in so much trouble here in this situation. The Fist of Fury landing on Milkman as well, but there's some CC on the Sea-Doo. Mez is 15% life with no cooldowns available for Method Orange at all. Milkman does get interrupted, and that's the AMS pop from Mez, but that's not going to do too much here against the jungle from Dilly and Foxy. Mez at 5% life, no defensive cooldowns at all. A little bit more damage connecting from Dilly and Foxy, and Mez is just going to go down here. Sea-Doo needs to cast some heals right now.
Yeah, Trill doing a great job with those off stuns, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep Mez alive. There's a full trap. Trill also could be in some trouble as the Wyvern Sting goes out onto him. Milkman has completely stabilized in this situation. He's so far away from Mez. Method Orange has lost the attempt on Milkman. Maim over onto Mez. Sea-Doo trying to keep him alive. Earthshield connects, but it is not enough. Sneakier Snakes defense too good for Method Orange in this situation. Their all-in is unsuccessful.
Yeah, that was a close match. Mez just went down right away. Aggressive or just kind of mirror how Method Orange is opening. If Method Orange plays aggressive, Sneakier Snakes might jump on the train and do the same thing. But Mez is playing on Holy again, so he's going to be that tankier target. So Sea-Doo's just going to have to live through those CC chains from Dilly and Foxy.
Yeah, maybe a more passive strategy coming in from Method Orange. I don't actually mind this. If they go into Dilly or they go into Foxy, they can always grip Milkman in, and that's when they can do their all-in. But it looks like they're just trying to put that pressure on Dilly as Dilly gets bursted down really low. Milkman gets gripped in, and now Milkman is way behind. If they can continue that pressure, Zwen's going to be used by Trill as well. Nice double CC coming in from Dilly. Trap onto Sea-Doo into a bursting shot with a Wyvern Sting onto Trill. Mez is all alone, but he should be fine with that AMS.
Wow, I love this strategy from Mez and Trill. They're hitting Dillypoo and Foxy, then gripping in Milkman and throwing those stuns on him, just as we saw from Tilted yesterday. This strategy seems to work in the favor of Method Orange, but Sea-Doo gets interrupted and Mez gets stunned up, so Dillypoo and Foxy looking to turn around the pressure. That is the true shot from Dillypoo as well. Foxy holding onto his incarnation for now.
I think it's really smart that Sneakier Snakes is staggering their cooldowns, keeping Method Orange guessing a little bit. There's another grip into leg sweep on the Milkman. Is he going to trinket out? He does. So that is both trinkets committed by Milkman. It looks like they just want to push through this damage. Touch of Karma is going to be used defensively by Trill. That's Touch of Death. That's basically everything. Mez gets stunned up. Icebound Fortitude. He has to kite back to Sea-Doo. So much pressure coming in from Sneakier Snakes. Sea-Doo might have to use the Spirit Link here, but he greets it. Ends up using it right before that fear. Nicely done.
And that was Ascendance from Sea-Doo as well. So Method Orange defensively is not looking too great. If Sneakier Snakes can hang on a little bit longer, this next setup for Sneakier Snakes is going to look great. But Milkman gets very low. He has that pain suppression available, but he does pre-barrier. Going to use the pain suppression as well. The Blood of Silence coming out on the Milkman. 5% life, trying to catch a shield, any type of heal, but the wind shear comes out and Milkman goes down.
Milkman greeted that way too hard. His Priester putting way too much emphasis on that powered barrier. Drops the pre-barriers like, oh, you know what? I outplayed their go. You know what? Unholy Death Knights don't care about that go. You need to put that PS up right away.
Those really massive pillars.
Yeah, and here's the game starting on Tolvaran Arena. I'm interested to see how Method Orange is going to play this one. It's going to play a little more aggressive. Sea-Doo once again going relentless here on this match, and Mez immediately dismounts Dillypoo and Foxy, wasting no time getting aggressive onto Mez right away, and we're going to see some C onto Sea-Doo pretty soon here.
Yeah, it looks like Sneakier Snakes wants to keep Method Orange on the back foot, but Method Orange, they're not going to budge. They're just going to hide behind the pillar. They can do grips as well, so if they want to grip Dilly in if he overextends, or grip Foxy behind the pillar and get a stun on him, they can get some massive pressure rolling early on.
Yeah, and that's a Fist of Fury on the Cyfox. He immediately goes bare, holding onto those wall charges for now. Gets grip back, but Milkman gets gripped in, uses his trinket right away. That's going to be the first trinket out of the way for Milkman. Cyfox, he's still not out of the woods yet as a full trap lands on a Sea-Doo. Trill in that Wyvern Sting. Nice cross you see from Sneakier Snakes. Mez taking the brunt of the pressure for now. The CC on Sea-Doo is finally faded though, so we can top Mez back off.
Yeah, Earthen Shield Totem drop, but Mez gets knocked out of it. Very nicely done by Dilly, but that was a small victory for Method Orange. Getting those trinkets from Milkman is so huge. That's what we saw in game number 2. They got the first trinket, the second trinket, and that's when they went all in and took him down. So Milkman has to be very, very careful.
And that was the wall from Cyfoxy as well. So he only has one wall left, and I love how Mez and Trill are spreading pressure onto Dillypoo and Cyfoxy and not just all-inning Milkman here. As the stuns come out on the Cyfoxy, still in a little bit of trouble. There's a second grip onto Milkman, followed up by the leg sweep. This time he decides to sit it. He does shrink it out a little bit later, so now Milkman has no more stuns.
Yeah, Touch of Death committed by Trill, though. They're looking to go all in. Raptor as well as Archangel is going to be used by Milkman as he tries to get behind the pillar. That's a Thornsoul coming in from Cyfoxy. Nice knock as well. Mez caught into the middle of the map, nowhere even close to Milkman. Beautifully done by Sneakier Snakes, and now Method Orange may have committed too far.
And that was a Spirit Link from Sea-Doo as well. His Ascendance and Spirit Link being used. Sneakier Snakes just need one more setup with the incarnation of Cyfoxy. Milkman gets done. He pain suppressions early this time. I love it. 50% life, catching some shields, catching some heals. Mez and Trill need to win this all in right here, or else Mez is just going to go down in this next CC chain. Sea-Doo, though, not getting trapped or feared quite yet. Milkman in trouble, Mez in trouble, back and forth pressure.
Milkman in so much trouble. If he gets caught into one more stun where Trill and Mez have uptime, he will be taken down, but he's still just line of sighting, doing a good job. Sea-Doo leaps in, dispels the fear off Trill. Can they stay on top of Milkman? Purge Shear comes in, but Mez has been left behind. There's the full stun. Mez able to reconnect. This is Method Orange's last chance to take down Milkman. Is he going to be able to survive? Power Word Shield comes in. He's still trying to kite. He gets gripped back, though. Thorns has been committed, and now this is so scary for Mez. Full trap onto Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo needs to be able to keep Mez alive. Mez line is sighting as long as he can, just trying to survive. The Death Strikes come in on the Milkman, and Milkman is completely stabilized. He's going to be fine.
And that was a Corpse Shield from Mez as well. Immediately breaks CC out on Sea-Doo, but he does get interrupted. Mez at 5% life. Cyfoxy and Dillypoo just need a little bit more damage. Couple Death Strikes coming in from Mez to save his own life, but Cyfoxy and Dillypoo just keeping up that offensive pressure. Milkman topped his team back off. Next CC on the Sea-Doo is going to spell the end for Mez.
Yeah, interrupt on the Sea-Doo. Do they have the bursting shot into the trap to follow it up? Nice knock on that Earthen Shield Totem coming in from Sea-Doo. There's the bursting shot into the trap. Mez uses the AMS to avoid some of that damage. They grip in Milkman. They're looking for the all-in on the Milkman. Actually taking down Cyfoxy, gets caught into the leg sweep, potentially into the Fist of Fury, but Cyfoxy, he has the survival instincts, opting not to use it. There's the incapacitator on Milkman. Cyfoxy's still in a lot of pressure, though. Milkman in a good position to get those heals out. Thorns can be committed as well, and whoever has Thorns is so dangerous for Method Orange to attack as Mez gets lower and lower. There's the bursting shot onto Sea-Doo, and Mez gets taken down. Sneakier Snakes will claim game number 3.
Yeah, and I think Trill did an amazing job that game actually peeling for Mez with the leg sweeps with the Fist of Fury when he could. At the end there, he was even casting a few since he's like the lower bracket, so whoever loses here is out of the tournament, so it is definitely very scary here for Method Orange, or Sneaky Snakes, really. Relentless being choose from Sea-Doo once again, so all of the CC is going to be a little bit shorter there onto the Resto Shaman from Method Orange, as Dillypoo and Cyfoxy are pushing in. Now, Cyfoxy trying to get aggressive early on, but he doesn't want to overextend.
Yeah, doesn't want to get behind the pillar again. This is Method Orange's game. They want to get those stuns on Cyfoxy, baiting Milkman in line of sight. That's where they can get the grip, the leg sweep, or the asphyxiate, and get a trinket down. It's very important that Method Orange works through all of the trinkets of Milkman, and they can accomplish that by going on to either Cyfoxy or Dilly and forcing Milkman's hand to get in that line of sight.
It looks like Method Orange is taking a page out of Tilted's book here at the start of this match. Trill, Mez, and Sea-Doo sitting behind the pillar, kind of waiting for dampening to kick in, or waiting for Dillypoo and Cyfoxy to put themselves into an unadvantageous position so that they can kind of just grip the priest behind the pillar and then go from there. But they open up onto Mez. Once again, Method Orange playing very defensive.
Yeah, Milkman just spamming out the clarity of wills on himself. He knows what Method Orange wants to do. It's no surprise. And Cyfoxy and Dilly, they're doing a good job. They're not going to overextend. They're not going to put Milkman in that bad position. But I don't really know who wins this in the long game. Like, if both teams just decide to line of sight for this long, who ends up winning in the long game? Once again, Sneakier Snakes trying to put some pressure on Mez, but Mez out of line of sight immediately. And if we look at mana, Sea-Doo's a little bit behind. Not that much behind, but that does add up over time.
The long game in this type of scenario is very scary. It becomes to a very, very close match. As we saw yesterday, I think the Windwalker DK can take it potentially, but it doesn't go one way or the other 100% of the time. Dillypoo and Cyfoxy know this, and they don't really want to risk risk it. They're just hanging back, but Dillypoo gets gripped in, and the Fist of Fury coming out from Trill. Dillypoo uses that human trinket and immediately runs away.
See, to me, that's a small victory. Unless Sneakier Snakes opts to push in to get more pressure rolling, getting through those trinkets is so important. And it looks like Dilly, as well as Cyfoxy, are going to get in and put that pressure out onto Mez very early on, as well as Trill. Everyone's kind of rotting down right now. There's the full bash on the Sea-Doo. Can Dilly land the full trap? Everyone stacks up. Nice knock trap. Now everyone from Method Orange is in the middle of the map. That was beautifully done by Dilly, reading that situation. Now into the bursting shot onto Sea-Doo. Can he land the full trap? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Nice double Fist of Fury stun coming in from Trill.
And these explosive traps from Dillypoo are really going to shake things up because they can change the positioning of the entire team over on Method Orange. But Milkman gets gripped in and the Asphyxiate comes out. He trinkets down. That's going to be one of two trinkets from Milkman. Sea-Doo comes out of that CC, topping his team back off. The AMS coming from Mez, but the unrelentless damage from Dillypoo. And Cyfoxy, Mez is getting so low. That's the Ascendance from Sea-Doo to pick Mez back up. He has Icebound Fortitude available. He's holding on to it for now. Sea-Doo going into that stun. Maybe some follow-up CC. Doesn't look like it. Mez getting stunned up as well, holding on to the rest of his defensive cooldowns.
That wasn't too bad for Milkman. All he committed was his trinket. And now Method Orange, Icebound Fortitude forced out as well. Trill eats the trap. So important. Sea-Doo's able to get off the Spirit Link because of that. Beautiful awareness by Trill. If that did not happen, I think it would have been lights out for Method Orange. So nicely done in terms of defense. Sneakier Snakes. Cyfoxy does have that incarnation up, so they're looking to get really aggressive, actually putting some pressure on the Sea-Doo as well. Everyone is a target for Sneakier Snakes.
But that was the Icebound Fortitude from Mez and the Spirit Link from Sea-Doo, so a slight overlap there from Method Orange as Dillypoo and Cyfoxy connect. Nothing left from Method Orange. I don't know how Mez is going to survive here. Short stun on the Sea-Doo, no follow-up quite yet. Mez is at 15% life. Cyfoxy gets asphyxiated by Mez. Mez running around the pillar, doing the best job he can to survive. The Paralyze comes out on the Dillypoo. Nice peels from Trill. Sea-Doo gets stunned up there. No follow-up CC though. Mez barely hanging on.
Yeah, Dillypoo getting in there with that disengage, interrupting Sea-Doo, bursting shotting him. Sea-Doo manages to keep Mez alive, but honestly very impressed with Dillypoo's performance in this matchup so far. Wyvern Sting over on the Trill. Sea-Doo's not able to dispel it, unfortunately. Now some pressure mounting for Method Orange as Cyfoxy gets lower. Milkman still has basically every single defensive cooldown at his disposal though. Cyfoxy though, no survival instincts. If they can get Cyfoxy in a stun, grip him behind the pillar, they can definitely get some solid pressure. There's the bash on the Sea-Doo. Mez still looking to be the target of choice, trying to Wraith walk away, but it gets rooted on it. He's not going to be able to create much distance now. Caught into the full maim. Sea-Doo doesn't have much to keep him alive. Trying his best. Earthen Shield totems up in a few seconds. That's going to make Mez tankier, but Method Orange realizes they need to turn around this pressure. There's the grip onto Milkman into the stun. He trinkets out into the restun, but he should be able to survive. Manages to run away, but that was his trinket as well as his Archangel.
So there's still some defensive cooldowns from Sneakier Snakes, and that was the second trinket from Milkman, but that first trinket's coming back up since Mez and Trill aren't getting very many pre-scos in. If Mez and Trill want to win this game, they have to be more aggressive, I think, a little bit onto Milkman to just push Sneakier Snakes back. The Paralyze coming out of Dillypoo. I don't understand how Method Orange is still alive here in this game. The Spear Link, 1 minute left from Sea-Doo. If they can live till then, 30 seconds left on Mez's trinket, 1 minute on Icebound. They have this 1 minute of awkward time, but once they survive, they're going to have a lot of these defensive cooldowns coming back in their favor.
Yes, Foxy gets gripped into a stun, and Sea-Doo's mana relatively even with Milkman. It's not looking too bad for Method Orange if they can survive these goes, but Incarnation's coming up for Cyfoxy in 45 seconds. That's normally the enrage timer against the jungle. Bash onto Sea-Doo, Rake stun onto Mez. Sneakier Snakes looking to get aggressive once again. Mez caught into the middle of the map. Milkman able to get those penances out. He's just out of line of sight, avoiding all those death grips. You can tell Method Orange still, they know he's the best target. They grip in Milkman into the asphyxiate stun. He trinkets out, knocks Mez away. Wraith Walk used by Mez, but more defensively. He knows he's in so much trouble. He cannot commit to an all-in on Milkman. Sea-Doo's into the full trap. Mez in so much trouble. AMS up in 5 seconds. Sea-Doo uses the Ascendance to try to keep him up with all this pressure coming in. Trying to line it so you can see Trill even throwing out the fuses. He needs to be able to keep Mez alive. There's the maim on the Mez, and he does get taken down. Sneakier Snakes, victory over Method, 3-1. Honestly, I thought Dilly was the MVP of that game. He did a really good job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dilly had a spectacular
Assassination enhanced for reject. So Tilted's going to go for huge setups with Leg Sweep, with Fist of Fury, when Thugonomics is getting those huge Chaos Bolts off. And then the rejects are really just an all-in comp going for a huge Vendetta Bloodlust one-shot.
Yeah, they called this deletion cleave back in 2016. I believe Sea-Doo was playing it, and it's the enhancement Shaman assassination rogue. So maybe if they swap to Novos, he might just get /delete deleted from the arena. And Rubcub's moving up. He's taking an offensive pillar against Novos. Novos actually trying to sneak in a Hex. He's got the Hex and stunned Jamili with a cross CC. Great setup here from Tilted early on. That's going to snag them an Astral Shift.
Yeah, it's a trinket wall from Jamili right away. Novos gets sheared up, and the full kidney shot lands onto Novos. Drink your milk, though, getting feared into that paralyze. So nice peels. The full hammer of justice now landing onto Novos as well. Thuganomics taking some pressure. Has that wall available if he wants to use it. Rubcub getting aggressive with those wings. Gets out of that CC immediately. Now Jamili's going to be the target of choice. Now Novos into that full sleep, though. Thuganomics using his wall.
Yeah, that unending resolve is going to be important here. Now Thuganomics is free casting. Big Chaos Bolts coming out towards Jamili. Touch of Death is activated there as well. Jamili doesn't care. He's just going to go all in towards Thuganomics. Keep mounting more pressure. We see a stun on Novos for cross crowd control. Thuganomics getting interrupted now into another stun. Novos trinkets out. He barely connects to Spirit Link. That's going to keep Thuganomics alive, but now with no trinket on Novos' back moving forward, this is going to get dangerous.
That was the Vendetta from Rosie's as well committed. It's still taking tons of damage coming out. That Hex Totem from Jamili there onto Novos. Thuganomics get kicked at low HP. I don't know how he's going to survive this one. Spamming those drain lives onto Jamili as Rechex is in retreat. Rosie's trying to connect back onto his target. Chun-Li getting some damage out as well. This next go from Rechex could be very scary, but Tilted not looking great either.
Yeah, Thuganomics is just trying to buy time. He needs 10 more seconds, and then his unending resolve shield wall damage reduction will be available. He's got 8 more seconds. He has to survive 8 more seconds. Rubcub's moving forward. They might just end it 4 more seconds. He's not going to live to the point that he needed. He's easily going to fall. It's now available. He's trying to play it greedy. Novos gets out of the crowd control. He's still not using that unending resolve. There's a lot of damage going towards him. They get a nice peel from Chun-Li with the triple leg sweep. Novos connects a lot of healing waves. Nice peels from Chun-Li. Thuganomics is staying alive now. Jamili getting counter pressured on the back foot. He gets feared to cross crowd control the Hex. He does ultimately dispel it. Jamili will trade out Astral Shift. Rubcub down to about half mana, but that was great job surviving. Nice peels from Chun-Li to survive that attack.
Nice defensive play there from Tilted. Thuganomics throwing out the coil, but the full kidney shot lands. The bloodlust from Jamili. Tons of damage committed from Rosie's as well. Beautiful peels from Chun-Li with that Fist of Fury. Completely stopping Jamili and Rosie's in their tracks. Thuganomics using that wall cooldown to save his own life. Now Rubcub going in CC. Jamili and Rosie's both in trouble. Rosie's has that Cloak of Shadows available, so we should be okay for now, using that wings from Rubcub there to top his team back off. Thuganomics in trouble.
They just baited the Earth and Shield Totem. Roasty still has Vendetta. That's going to be a very scary button that he can pull the trigger on at any moment. And if Novos is caught into any crowd control at all, this could be deadly. Thuganomics is trying to reverse the pressure, though. They bop Roasties out of the stun to go all in. Vendetta available. Roasties just trying to sap the blind. He lands the sap, but Thuganomics gates away. Great gateway there from Thuganomics, and that's going to delay the setup just a couple extra seconds, and that's the extra seconds that they need. He needs another 4 seconds. He's trying to kite away. I've never seen a Warlock move so fast, but he managed to do it. He survives the blind sap crowd control chain.
The mobility from Thuganomics is impressive for a Destruction Warlock, using that Trinket gateway to get out of harm's way from Jamili and Roasty setups. But now with no Trinket, when this next kidney shot lands and some CC comes on to Novos, there's the Hex Totem from Jamili. Full kidney shot lands on to Thuganomics. No Trinket available. Is he going to survive? Novos getting off those free casts, though. Gets sheared in the process. Thuganomics using that wall. Very low HP. Jamili pressure on both sides now. Jamili has that wall available. He's not using it quite yet. Rubcub getting caught into that full fear. Pressure on both sides. Jamili and Roasty's both under pressure.
Oh, 2 Chaos Bolts out from Thuganomics. You got Jamili, Roasty's down to half, but Rubcub's recovered. Unfortunately, though, his mana isn't looking too amazing, and Avenging Crusader costs a lot of mana. He's probably got 2 more of those left in the tank. They need to find a kill soon. Triple stun out from Chun-Li. They swap to Rubcub. They get the Divine Shield, and now Rubcub is going to be very low on cooldowns. As long as Novos keeps a level head here, he gets a full Hex, actually, from Jamili. Or no, Voodoo Totem, so he's able to get out of that. Thuganomics is still down at half. He's going to gate, try and extend this. He's trying to avoid Doomwind's damage, but with this cross crowd control, Novos choosing not to trinket. This could be maybe a greedy play. Thuganomics is dipping dangerously low. Spirit Link is going to connect and save him. Jamili has defensive cooldowns. I really don't see him as a kill target anytime soon. I would love to see another swap to Rubcub, though, very shortly if they can find the opportunity. Mortal Coil out from Thuganomics, but it wasn't a double. Roasties was able to actually Cloak of Shadows and immune the Mortal Coil so he could peel Thuganomics. That was a nice setup play from Roasties. Jamili is still dangerously low, trying to line of sight with Rubcub. They're trying to buy time for Avenging Crusader, which is just going to be immediately used by Rubcub. A nice defensive Hex. Jamili can dispel that, so they're going to remove it. This could be the setup to win. Novos and Thuganomics need to be ready.
This game is very close, but I would put Tilted slightly ahead here because Novo still has that Trinket. Thuganomics using his wall from the Bloodlust of Jamili, trying to stop that pressure. There's the leg sweep from Chun-Li. Back and forth pressure. Now the Bloodlust from Jamili being popped. That's so much damage. It does fade now. Thuganomics, no defensive cooldowns left available. This is the Ascendance from Novos, but tons of damage connecting from Roasties. That's the Vendetta. Thuganomics 5% life. How is he going to survive this one? The full Hex lands from Jamili. Novos doesn't get the heal off, and Thuganomics drops.
That was down to the wire. Both healers completely out of mana. We just stepped into dampening at that moment. Perhaps Novos Thugonomics could have spaced their defensive cooldowns out a bit more at the end. There was a heavy overlap with Unending Resolve and Earthen Shield Totem.
For DK too much, I would give the advantage to Tilted if they can survive these crazy one-shots, and Novos is playing Trinket, so I like that.
I really want to know who the rejects are going to target. Are they just going to run at the Shaman Novos? Are they going to go after the Death Knight? This isn't a matchup that we get to see very often, so the rejects are going to have to kind of show us how this comp is basically played. We see Novos getting opened on, and it does look like they're going to be training down the healer, and we've seen healer races go pretty badly in this tournament so far. Novos is hanging on by a thread, trades out his Astral Shift. Now Chun-Li peeling them all away with a triple stun. Jamili trades out Astral Shift, but Rubkub is taking a ton of damage. He has to use the Divine Shield, and that all-in on Novos actually cost the rejects more cooldowns than it did Tilted.
I cannot believe how offensively rejects played that opener. Vendetta first global coming out from Roasties. That was the Bloodlust. That was everything. Now the full kidney shot landing onto Novos is definitely a very scary moment. Valito's getting a little bit low as well, but the nice peels from Chun-Li. Paralyze on this go. Leg sweep on that last go. Chun-Li's really breaking down this game and keeping his healer alive. Now Novos popping that Ascendance to top his team back off. Chun-Li now getting aggressive with that Touch of Death and the Fist of Fury on over to Rubkub.
Yeah, we see Avenging Crusader from Rubkub. He's going to boost a lot of his healing. He can also do a bit of damage, but Chun-Li is just racing against that and tearing him up. We see a blind on Novos. Valito seems to be the target right now. He's going to trade out Icebound Fortitude. I think that's a fair trade, and I don't imagine this game going on for that long that it's going to matter. Icebound Fortitude for blind is a decent trade, but Novos maybe could have trinketed. He's also afraid of being swapped to with Vendetta, so I like that play from Valito, but he's going to be the open target now moving forward, and Novos needs to be ready for that because Valito's just taking too much damage. He's on 5%. Novos runs in, desperately gets the Spearling. He had to use his trinket, and now Jamili is under fire as well. He's just going to kite away. I mean, the rejects have this game in the bag. They got Novos' trinket with no Vendetta, and they got Valito's Icebound Fortitude with no Vendetta. That's basically a free win if they get a clean setup soon.
Yep, and you're exactly right. That Vendetta from Roasties just came up, so this next Vendetta is going to be extremely scary. Now the full Hammer of Justice landing onto Valito as the rejects trying to go for their next setup here. Who are they going to choose, Novos or Valito? Depends who has Earth Shield. If Novos has no Earth Shield, they're going to go Valito and CC him instead. Roasties stepping on over to Novos. The full kidney shot might land here in a second. Chun-Li peeling though with a double Fist of Fury. The full kidney shot Vendetta lands onto Novos. This could spell defeat. The Paralyze comes out from Chun-Li. Great defensive peeling from him. Jamili pops his wall as well. Back and forth pressure. Now Valito half HP. Novos gets sheared in those healing wave attempts, and it looks like he's going to survive.
Nice evasion there from Novos by just jumping away from the swap of Jamili. Now he's out of line of sight. He's avoiding all the interrupts. He did a great job dealing with that Vendetta threat, even with having such limited options. I really think that the rejects are focusing too much on split DPS. If they had both just converged on the non-Earth Shield target, I think they would have torn him apart. At that point, it would have been Valito. Jamili's trying to get some pressure going here with Doom Winds. He's doing a ton of damage. Valito trades out the anti-magic zone. Jamili's trying to bait Valito out of that and go onto a different target, Novos. And I mean, Roasties is just soloing Novos in the back line. He's trying to kite away. Paralysis buys Novos a second, but Jamili's right on his back. He's going to get Fist of Fury. And man, Chun-Li is one of the best goalies I've ever seen for a healer. He's doing his best to keep them off Novos. Another double stun. The death grip from Valito. And Valito and Chun-Li are trying so hard to help Novos out. Rubkub's moving in. They want to take him down. Is he going to be able to survive, Zaryu?
I cannot believe Novos is alive in this situation. That's exactly right. Chun-Li doing an amazing job peeling with the stuns, with the paras, with the Fist of Furies. This is all credited to Chun-Li. I cannot believe Novos survived. He's casting those healing waves behind the pillar, but I actually like the split strategy taken out here from the rejects. Jamili's going on Valito. Roasties is going on Novos. Who do they put Earth Shield on? Novos is eventually getting low. Valito's eventually getting low. They converge on the lowest target with a little bit of CC on the target that is a little bit higher HP with that Earth Shield. So I actually love the strategy coming out from rejects.
Yeah, we see another kidney shot landed onto Novos. The opposite trinket. Vendetta was committed. I think that was a smart play, but now he'll be open to blind. If they can switch to Valito before 20 seconds has elapsed with blind, they could be in trouble. Chun-Li's trying to set up a swap on Roasties. He's overextended behind the pillar with no trinket. Rubkub repositioned and used Blessing of Sacrifice to redirect damage to himself, realizing that out of position play. Nice catch by Rubkub. That's going to keep Roasties alive. Jamili now getting swapped too. He trades out Astral Shift. Valito is low as well, and Jamili is still going for a split DPS strategy. This is the blind setup. Valito could easily fall. His Icebound Fortitude just came up. He connects one Death Strike. Jamili's looking to Hex out of the blind. Full Hex now connects. Valito is on the run. They could easily just take him down at 3-on-1. Chun-Li peels him away with a miracle Fist of Fury, but they need more time and they don't get it. The rejects are up 2-0 now and looking clean against Tilted.
Beautifully played by rejects there. I love split strategy going on who doesn't have that Earth Shield with a little bit of CC on the guy who does. baiting out the trinkets from Novos with the kidney shots, and then following it up with the blinds, or baiting the trinket from the blind and then following up the kidney shot. Beautifully played by Reed.
Bags are you?
Everyone is playing trinket except Rubcub, choosing that Relentless Talon instead, and I'm loving the split strategy from Rejects on Valido and to Novos, kind of baiting out the Earth Shields, baiting out the trinkets, then following up with that CC, with that blind in the sap, or the blind in the Hex, or the Hammer of Justice, and going from there. The cheap shot coming out into Chun-Li, immediately the full kidney shot onto Novos. This is the huge opener that we saw last game as well, the anti-magic zone in return from Valido. Novos still taking a ton of pressure from Roasties.
Yeah, and it does seem like they're going to go for the split DPS strategy. I'd like to see Jamili kite Valido out of line of sight of Novos, and it kind of looks like he wants to do that, but they're going to go for a blind setup. Novos has Earth Shield, so I'm wondering what they're really going to look to do with this. They're going to sap him. I think they should maybe commit the Doom Winds onto the Death Knight now and try and bait a trinket, but they're really not. There's the Doom Winds. The trigger has finally been pulled, but the crowd control's already over. Valido just respects the cooldowns anyway, trades out Icebound Fortitude and AMS, but he's going to be an opening target moving forward. It looks like Tilted are trying to go after Rubcub. He's going to immediately pull back to the pillar. Novos now caught into a kidney shot. Chun-Li's trying to pull back to assist. Is Chun-Li going to be able to save Novos in time? He drops Ride the Wind, but Novos gets stunned on the jump. He's trying to get away from Roasties. He's barely hanging on by a thread. Chun-Li's trying to back him up. Novos jumps away. He needs to connect a healing wave. He gets Shadow Step. Did he fake the kick there? Maybe he did, but Jamili's still on his back. He's still very low. He's trying to play greedy without using the Astral Shift, and this is match point. He gets away with the greed, but that's a lot on the line. Now caught into the kidney shot. He's got Earth Shield set up. He's got Trinket available, but he doesn't want to use it before Vendetta. He's forced to use it, and he's still just dying.
That was the trinket wall. He does not want to use the link. He refuses to use that link, trying to get any heals off he can. Nova is just spam fade casting, leaps back up, does get some healing waves connected to top himself back off. That was so many, so much damage from Jamili and Roasties as they connected onto Novos because they finally converged onto him. But now look, they have Bloodlust and they have Vendetta. Novos has no trinket. I'm so scared for Novos in this next kidney shot setup from Roasties and Jamili.
And Valido's on his own mission right now. He's just trying to solo Rubcub, and maybe he can win the race. He grips Roasties off on the setup, but Novos has barely anything left. He barely sneaks the Spirit Link Totem in between the stuns. Rubcub used the Divine Shield for that. He felt like the kill was going to be had, but the stun was a hair too late, and Novos was able to get that Spirit Link Totem off clutch.
Yeah, barely saving himself right there. Great job by Novos getting his final defensive cooldown off, but that was his final defensive cooldown. So this next go from Rechecks is very scary, but that was a Bloodlust and Vendetta committed from Jamili and Roasties, and no bubble left from Rubcub as he goes into the full asphyxiate. Counter pressure as well from Roasties with that kidney shot, the Fist of Fury into the Blood of Silence onto Rubcub. He has no bubble, he's at 10% life. Does use that Blessing of Protection to try to save himself. Holy Light coming back off, topping himself back off.
He gripped him into line of sight of Novos to try and purge the Blessing of Protection, but fortunately didn't get lucky there. Novos has got his Earthen Shield totem down, but this is without Doom Winds and without Vendetta. So Novos' defensive cooldowns are really misaligned. He's going to try and juggle them, I think, with the Astral Shift for an attempt, but he also has no trinket for a blind, but they're just gunning down Rubcub. Tilted are going all in for a kill, and Rubcub doesn't have anything for this, and they are going to find it in those final seconds, and that Valido one-man mission training down Rubcub works out. It's going to buy them a point on the board and an opportunity to swing this series back.
Yeah, and I love how Tilted played that. Instead of playing more defensive because they were in so much trouble, Shield no trinket with the kidney shot with the Vendetta, and I really want to see Chun-Li and Valido getting back aggressive onto Rubcub to turn the pressure around.
All right, the gates have opened, ladies and gentlemen. The Rejects are looking to secure their spot in the grand finals for this North American Cup number 3. Novos Valido, they're moving out now. Novos immediately retreating away. Jamili's going to just be attacking away at Valido, I believe, and Roasties is going to be gunning down Novos. They've been doing a split DBS strategy throughout. Ooh. Nice grip into double leg sweep there from Chun-Li. They're really going all out on Rubcub. Let's see how he deals with it at the same time. Novos is getting taken down by Roasties. Valido's going to protect him with this shield. Novos is going to hang out in that. The Hammer of Justice, Valido behind the pillar. He's trying to be greedy. Novos gets blinded, and he trinkets. An overlap of Trinket and Icebound Fortitude will be an opening that the Rejects can abuse later.
The Rejects are ahead here in this opener. That was the Trinket Ascendance from Novos. He does get Hex on it from Jamili. Beautiful Hex, and that was the Icebound Fortitude from Valido as well. So Rejects, incredible lead right now. That was the Vendetta, that was the Bloodlust, and the full kidney shot landing onto Novos as well. This is definitely pretty scary, but that no cooldowns committed. Not that much damage, but Novos gets completely chunked down using that Astral Shift, his shield wall cooldown, to reduce 40% of that that incoming damage. Now RubTub getting stunned up with that asphyxiate. Not sure if there's going to be stuns to follow. There's that half leg sweep. Not sure. A Blood Elf silence now to follow into that quarter fist of fury. RubCub taking so much damage.
Oh, he's trying to fake cast the interrupts. RubCub's playing on the edge of his life right now. He's holding on to Divine Shield as long as he can. He fake cast the Mind Freeze. He's trying to get it, but he's forced to trade out Divine Shield regardless. The pressure from Chun-Li and Valido was too much. That's going to put the rejects on a clock. Blessing of Protection is going to be the last line of defense. RubCub's going to need to line of sight Novos and play far away from him so he can't purge that off. Valido is playing with the devil right now by chasing after RubCub. If he goes too far behind the pillar and gets hammered back there with Jamili, it could be his life. Jamili jumps on that. He sees the opportunity, and double Fist of Fury though by Chun-Li is going to protect Valido. Novos moves in. Shadow Step kick there from Roasties. Vendetta is available. He pre-earthen shield totems himself, but if he pops Vendetta on Valido, Valido literally has nothing. I'd really love to see a kidney shot on Novos, Shadow Step Vendetta on Valido, and nothing can keep him alive at that point, I think.
But RubCub has wings up right now, and as soon as they fade and he has no bubble, he could just go down. Here's the asphyxiate. He Blessing of Protection's out of it, gets Blood Elf silence, but here's the kidney shot from Roasties with the Vendetta. Counter pressure now from the rejects. No follow-up stun. He gets the Spirit Link off onto Valido to kind of steady his life back out. He reapplies that Earth Shield, leaps away, trying to top himself back off.
Nice
and that was all of the offensive pressure.
That wind shear from Jamili. Novos is still in trouble. Chun-Li's a try to carry, but this is match point and it's not enough. The rejects are going to take Novos down and knock them to the lower bracket. Jamili's team are on fire this week. Massive improvements from previous cups, and they're going to be going to the grand finals undefeated in Cup 3.
Beautiful performance out of the rejects. They are looking like a solid team. Every single one of these cups, they've been doing better.
Aggressive bloodbath, or Tilted could be playing scared and trying to focus on staying alive.
And of course, I love that Valido is playing that Unholy Death Knight. As they learned yesterday, Frost is not the way to go here in this matchup. Dilly and Cyfoxy usually playing slow, but Cyfoxy jumping right in, stunning Valido right up, and they're looking for some CC onto Novos with the bash, with the stuns, with the fears onto Novos, but Milkman playing very, very far back, and I love his defensive play.
Yeah, it's very important for Cyfoxy to build up combo points, get his rips on as many targets, get his Blood Talons going so he can do maximum damage. So he's just poking away, getting those bleeds up for basically for free. You see him just running around. He's a pretty happy kitty right now, just getting all of his damage going. And then as soon as he's ramped it up, I can imagine that they're going to make a big push. And that's what they're doing right now. We see a stun onto Valido. Valido triggers out. They're going aggressive onto Milkman. They're going to make a healer swap. He immediately uses that human racial. He's trying to evacuate the situation. Well-timed Wyvern Sting. These Wyvern Stings from Dilly onto Chun-Li are going to be critical to Milkman's consistent survival.
And that was the first grip from Chun-Li and Valido on over to Milkman, and that was his first trinket. So 1 of 2. Nice knockback stun there by Dilly Poo, and the double Fist of Fury coming out into Dilly and Cyfoxy. Chun-Li looking to turn the pressure around with that Fist of Fury, but also just appeal. That's what Chun-Li is so good at, using those dual purpose stuns. It's incredible. Novos gets interrupted there on his heal attempt. Valido 50% life, still tons of defensive cooldowns from Tilted, but there's another grip onto Milkman. He pre-barriers the asphyxiate, but trinkets out anyway. That's 2 for 2 on his trinkets. Next grip scary for Milkman.
Yeah, I think I would have almost rather seen pain suppression and then trinket later with Rapture. Okay, now he's going to use the Rapture. That way he can rely on pain suppression in a stun. We see an interrupt landed onto Novos. The MVPs of interrupts, Cyfoxy and Dilly. If they can snag a couple more of those, their momentum is going to start swinging heavily in their favor. Valido's trying to make a push, but he just can't leave the pillar. We see a defensive Wyvern Sting onto Chun-Li, but this was not during a stun setup. I really think Dilly should have considered holding on to this. They're going to crowd control Chun-Li, but it wasn't during a burst attempt. Now Milkman will be isolated, and there's going to be no backup. We see Valido caught into a stun. Cyfoxy's really starting to tear in. Double bursting shot. MVP setup here. Chun-Li tried to eat the trap. He was just an inch away. Now Valido's on the run. Wraith walking out of line of sight of Dilly. Nice incapacitate. Breaking up the CC chain, breaking up the damage. Good peels from Chun-Li. Novos is trying to fake the interrupt. You see him going for a healing wave after healing wave. He gets skull bashed. You can't fake these guys, man.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how defensive Tilted is playing this matchup. They're playing on the pillar, waiting and being very patient for these setups. There's a paralyze on the Milkman and the leg sweep on a Dilly Poo. He barely gets that aspect of the turtle off to survive there, and that huge go from Chun-Li and Valido, and now they're back on the run. They do their goes, and then they run. They do their goes, and then they run, and it's beautiful. Now the full trap landing onto Novos. This is where they run. Valido very scared here, landing those death strikes. Dilly and Cyfoxy under a ton of pressure, and Tilted is playing this incredibly.
Yeah, Tilted are doing a great job defensively. They really caught Sneakier Snakes off guard with that swap. Now they're making another one towards Milkman. He's going to use the human racial, break out of the stun. We see the defensive Wyvern Sting. Unfortunately, ended up breaking a little bit early. That means Chun-Li can stay on Milkman. I don't think he's going to be able to solo him in this position, but he can soften him up, as Zico was saying, or just get him slightly lower on health, and then when they go for the stun, they don't have to go through a 100% health bar, but it looks like Chun-Li's just going to evacuate that situation. Pull back to his team. Mana is reasonably tied. This is still anyone's game.
Yeah, and Chun-Li goes into that stun. It's a little bit scary, but kind of a passive moment here from both sides. Now Foxy and Dillypoo trying to connect. The mana is very high for Milkman as he gets that full drink off, and that's wonderful. That's another wall coming up from Foxy. The bash on to Novos. Let's see if there's any follow-up CC. Doesn't quite look like it. That's the touch of death committed from Chun-Li as the full leg sweep lands on the Foxy. No CC on the Milkman, and he grips him out of trouble.
Yeah, and that, whoa, it might not be enough. A huge amount of pressure following that up. Tilted are just trying to go all the way. Nice Wyvern Sting timing on Chun-Li. Foxy is running for his life. I don't know how many of the 9 lives he just used there, but he's going to be running pretty low. Valito's trying to kite behind the pillar. Chun-Li is rotted down as well. The split pressure is great for Sneakier Snakes. They're trying to make a push, but it's going to be a risky one.
Yeah, and then Valito and Chun-Li overcommitted there. They could have just lost. So I love how they peel back. They go, you know, we could push in, but if we do that, we're going to overextend, and Valito's ultimately going to fall for that. So them being disciplined enough to let Foxy use that wall, run away at 10% HP, and hide back on the pillar is incredible. And this is what Tilted is so good at, is their defensive play as Windwalker DK. Chun-Li getting a little bit low, pops that wall, has the touch of Karma available if he needs. The bash now coming out on the Novos, maybe some follow-up CC. Valito eats the trap. Beautiful play from Valito. Unfortunate there for Team Dillypoo.
I really like Chun-Li soaking damage and just basically throwing himself as a human shield and absorbing damage so Valito can have time to buy for his defensive cooldowns. And they're going for the last push. Can they find the kill? Milkman is escaping to safety, but are they going to go all the way? No, Shining Force knocks them away. They're desperately chasing him down. Novos jumps in. They know it's all or nothing to take down Milkman. That drink earlier will secure them the late game. They have to kill him in this push, and they do it. Just enough damage to take him out, and Tilted are showing signs of life, leading in the series 1-0.
Wow, and that was a double Blood Elf silence coming out from both of the Blood Elves there, the Windwalker and the DK.
The gates have opened.
Yeah, Sneakier Snakes definitely play a little bit more defensively than these European jungles, but it has been paying off for them in a lot of these games. But Tilted really finding the secret sauce to beat Sneakier Snakes, was constantly swapping targets between Foxy, Dilly, and Milkman. Now the full bash coming out on the Novos, no follow-up CC quite yet, but Foxy gripped in behind the pillar without Bear Form activated. He has to shrink it wall immediately.
Yeah, that's a nice opener for Tilted. They're really keeping Sneakier Snakes on their toes with their targeting decision, and it's very difficult for Milkman, Foxy, and Dilly to figure out their positioning if they constantly swap. Valito, though, is now under fire. He's trying to maybe go after Milkman, and he sees that Milkman pushed up, so they're trying to get a free swap. If they can get a trinket with no death grip, that would be great for them, but Valito's under counter pressure, and I love that Milkman's saving the trinket. He pre-barriered. He doesn't want to use a trinket on a non-grip go, but he's still kind of overextended. How's he going to deal with the pressure? He's going to activate Archangel and Rapture. He's going to spam out Power Word Shields. Novos is caught into a bursting shot. Valito's dipping low. He's forced to retreat away. Foxy's on the hunt.
And Valito has no Icebound Fortitude, and Novos is playing relentless, so if he gets caught up in one more CC, this could spell the end. There's the half fear onto Novos, a little bit diminishing return there. There's the full bash onto Novos as well. Into that full trap, the Ascendance is going to fade. Valito's doing a great job of line of sighting. Now look at this, away from Dillypoo, away from that incarnation from Foxy. Valito taking it matters into his own hands, surviving by himself. Now the Paralyze, though, coming out on the Milkman. Milkman's definitely a little scared. Has that paint suppression available, does get interrupted by Chun-Li. Can free cast out that Penance, though. Chun-Li and Valito still 50% life.
Yeah, Novos jumping over to his teammates, trying to make sure that Valito can feel comfortable chasing down Milkman, because this is the first time we've seen him play more aggressively, and Valito is desperately trying to punish that as much as he can. Chun-Li's going to port, get the heal. They see the trap landed, so Valito's going to retreat away, but he's actually running back to Dilly. Now he's going to be in line of sight of him, but the trap is no longer up, so Novos can freely heal if he can get through the interrupts. So he's going to have to dodge both interrupts. I think he was able to dodge the counter shot there. Foxy's not in line of sight. We see another stun onto Milkman as Tilted are setting up for a kill. Milkman's playing it greedy there, and I like that. He's kind of feeling it out. He's not just giving the trinkets for free. That wasn't a very dangerous setup with no touch of death, but now, ultimately, at the end of the day, if they can just stick on him, that necrotic strike is very high. He's going to have to power out a lot of heals. He manages to find them. He ultimately had to use his trinket, though, so that is going to put him behind. In the meantime, Dilly's securing some crowd control on Novos, building pressure on Valito. Valito is trying to line of sight paralysis on Foxy. Will deny the reconnect for now. Novos is trying to deal with the interrupts. He's trying to fake cast these healing waves over and over to connect onto Valito. He's sneaking in a couple, and Valito will stabilize. Now they switch some attention to Chun-Li. He's got Touch of Karma to survive, but Novos is on the mana lead, and Tilted are looking decent here in game number 2.
Novos still has that Spirit Link to use, but he is relentless, so he might not be able to use it if just some CC lands and they just kill Valito right off the bat. Chun-Li using that wall to stabilize and help, but Milkman going into that Fist of Fury. Ton of damage connecting from Chun-Li. Valito's getting kited out, though. Beautiful line of sight by Milkman as he gets those Shadow Mens off. The leg sweep now coming out into Dillypoo. Milkman has no more trinkets for this next go. The full trap fades now onto Novos. Valito Valido looks like they're going to be okay, and this is that defensive play we like to see from Tilted, them just line of sighting Dillypoo, making it very difficult for him to get those wind bursts, those aim shots off. But as Valido runs into the middle of the map to connect onto Milkman with that asphyxiate, the Dillypoo is getting a ton of damage off with that true shot. Milkman saving his own life with that paint suppression at high HP.
Yeah, but they overlapped it a bit with Thorns. It looks like they were able to purge it off, or it's ended. Valido is just trying to stay aggressive with the Manimatic shield. He's just going all the way. He's just spamming necrotic strikes, but he can't. Novos is trapped up. He's trying to line of sight now with Corpse Shield to shield around and protecting him, redirecting damage to his ghoul. We can see Novos trying to get line of sight. Chun-Li is low as well. The pressure from Sneakier Snakes, I feel like in this position, maybe even a triple dotting strategy, just bleed up the whole team. And yeah, I see thrashes from Cyfoxy. If they're gonna stack up, that's a free triple dot for Cyfoxy, and that could be really difficult for Novos to heal through. Then crowd control him once they get him low. Nice skull bash on Novos. It's gonna put him a bit behind. Valido caught into a stun. Dilly's moving up. As soon as Dilly gets next to Novos, this could be trouble. If he's able to sneak in a trap, they're trying to eat it. Double bursting. Luckily with Valido's positioning, that removed all of the bleeds and damage over time effect, so the pressure on Valido is actually going to be lower. That was really good positioning from Valido to do that on the bursting shot.
Now was the Icebound Fortitude committed from Valido as well, as it does fade in the wall from Chun-Li, and I love how Sneakier Snakes is really spreading the pressure around, but Milkman gets gripped in, asphyxiated immediately, uses his trinket to get out of that, but he does get Blood Elf silenced afterwards, and this is how it ended last time. Chun-Li and Valido on the hunt now for Milkman. Milkman using his knockback to knock Chun-Li and Valido away. Valido is at a Holy Death Knight. He's going to have trouble connecting, and another knockback from Dillypoo with that explosive trap. Pressure back and forth, but Milkman gets interrupted with that ghoul. Valido reconnecting back onto his target. Milkman has that Archangel. It's about to fade, though. It does fade now. Milkman shielding himself back up to full HP.
Yeah, but he's running out of options. He's going to drop Barrier, and once again, Tilted know they have the game in the bag. They've secured the Rapture, the pain suppression, so they're just going to try and go all out. They need a couple more seconds on Milkman to put him down. He's got no mana, nothing left. He trinkets out of the stun, but that's all he's got. He gets stunned on the trinket. Novos is pushing in. They know they've got him on the ropes. They're looking to lead 2-0. Milkman's doing everything he can. Valido's getting counter-pressured. It's a race to the finish. Chun-Li snags the trap. He breaks Novos out of the crowd control. Perfect play. Spirit Link is going to buy his team time to keep playing aggressive. They got 6 seconds left on Rapture. Can Milkman stay alive? 6 more seconds. There's still counter-pressure on Valido. Novos is trying to get some healing waves. He eats a counter shot. Valido is low. Milkman is low. Rapture is now available, but he's caught into a silence. He's 1 second away from it. They need purges. Nice purge. Landed by Novos in the final seconds, and Tilted know exactly when their win condition and final push is, and they're nailing it 2 games in a row.
Yeah, that was
are about to open. How many lives does Cyfoxy truly have? Because this is the last one. Novos, Valido, and Chun-Li are playing defensively, focused on just attritioning out Milkman's cooldowns. They're going to wait for Milkman to push in aggressively and then swap. Here's the swap. They grip Milkman in, but they don't land the stun just yet. Milkman's trying to get away from it, but he doesn't manage to. They get a trinket out of the way. This is one objective accomplished for Tilted, and they might even just all in at the start to catch him off guard. Necrotic strikes were stacking there. Milkman makes it out alive.
That was the Trinket, the Rapture, and the Archangel from Milkman to keep himself alive, but Chun-Li and Valido both half HP. Novos is going to have to do a good job of topping him back off. There's a stun on Novos, no follow-up CC quite yet. The Ascendant's being popped from Novos as well. He's going to get those huge heals off, those huge healing waves. There's 1 connect, 2 connect, and now his team's top back off. That was the Icebound Fortitude from Valido as well, though. That's a lot of defensive cooldowns from Tilted as the full trap now lands onto Novos on the rest of his Ascendants. Valido dying now at 30% life, has that Corpse Shield available, but he just falls! Sneakier Snakes, very aggressively played, very well played there.
Man, Dilly does not want to give this away without a fight. You can really see it there with the fire and damage that they brought. They're like, okay, we're 3 times damage in that last game. Can they do it 2 more in a row, or will they be going home as the gates have opened?
Smaller map here now for Tilted as it was their map pick, and I really like Windwalker DK on this small Dalaran sewer map. Cyfoxy and Dillypoo looking to get aggressive right off the bat as they open up onto Valido. Still have that True Shot and Incarnation hanging onto their big offensive cooldowns until that CC lands on the Novos. Once those bleeds really sink into Valido, it's going to be trouble.
Yeah, Novos and Valido and Chun-Li are all behind the pillar. They're going to grip Cyfoxy in. He trinkets, nice knockback. That's going to buy Cyfoxy a couple of seconds to breathe, but this is still the match point. If he just throws away the game that early, it would be devastating. In the meantime, Dilly securing a full trap on Novos. Now Valido is in trouble. He trinkets. He's trying to run. He may need to use Icebound Fortitude to overlap. They're trying to greed their cooldowns. This is a very greedy play from Valido. He's trying to get away with it. How much longer can he get away with it? He's not going to get away with it. And Sneakier Snakes are taking this to game 5.
Wow, Valito holding on to that Icebound Fortitude because the last game he died from using it too early. This game he's like, I'm not gonna Icebound Fortitude, I'm not gonna...
Two, it's down to the wire, and who could have asked for a better finale here in the lower bracket? The gates have opened. Tilted and Sneakier Snakes are gonna be gunning it down for a spot at the spring finals.
I want to see this aggressive opener from Sneakier Snakes once again with Cyfoxy and Dillypoo just all inning Valito with all of their cooldowns. True Shot, Incarnation not being popped quite yet here, but that full trap lands on Novos, and here it is. Let's see if they're going to pull the trigger. Doesn't look like it quite yet with their offensive cooldowns. Valito's still taking a little bit of damage, but look at his positioning. Just line-of-sighting Dillypoo completely. Dillypoo, though, getting back into line and getting some damage out.
And you see the wide side of the pillar here? Dilly can hit Valito no matter what on this side of the pillar, and he's having 100% uptime. So Valito's trying to get aggressive, but this could be a mistake at this point in time. He trades out Icebound Fortitude for Incarnation. I think that is a fair trade. They've used Earthen Shield Totem as well, which means Novos needs to space out his Healing Tide Totem and Ascendance. He's decided to use them now. His Ascendance has been popped, so Novos is running out of cooldowns very fast, and Sneakier Snake's damage is still high.
Yeah, Sneakier Snakes is definitely in the lead because that was the Icebound Fortitude from Valito as well, and that was just the Trinket Rapture from Milkman. So Milkman still has another Trinket. He still has Pain Suppression. Tilted really behind here in this game. Valito having trouble picking himself back up. He's about 40-50% now as the stun comes out on the Novos and on the Valito. Nice cross. You see Valito does Trinket out though, trying to get back to the pillar. Novos having difficult time topping Valito off with all of the kicks and interrupts from Dillypoo and Cyfoxy.
We see another setup here with a grip double stun, but they're actually going after Cyfoxy. They're trying to bait Milkman's cooldowns out there. He didn't fall for the bait. That's going to put his team ahead. They're massively ahead. Bursting shot, knock away. Will Novos be able to recover? This is the situation. One interrupt lands. If another one lands, nice trap eat by Valito. That's the only thing keeping his team in the game right now. Will Novos be able to get the heals out? Valito line of sighted to heal in the last second. That's going to force the Spearling Totem and the Earthen Shield Totem, and you can tell that Tilted are terrified.
Yeah, Tilted definitely seems to be a little tilted here. No defensive cooldowns at all from their entire team. All Sneakier Snakes needs to do is stay composed for one more offensive go, and they are going to take this game. Tilted really needs to turn this around back onto Milkman. There's a double leg sweep coming out of Dillypoo and Cyfoxy to do whatever he can to save Valito's life.
This is
playing well defensively, but the full trap lands on Novos. Valito's going to fall. Sneakier Snakes does the reverse sweep. They do the impossible and take out Tilted to stay alive in this tournament.
The comeback train. They were down 2 points. It was looking so dire for them in that series, but Tilted just couldn't keep up the momentum, and it looks like Sneakier Snakes have powered up. Maybe it can work. You don't need to cast out many spells as fire. You can just get the damage going on a stun whenever you need it.
Yep, Fire Mage really focusing on that crowd control. The gates open in the grand finals of North American Cup number 3. The Reject's going to be looking for a CC game here, putting out lots of crowd control.
Oh!
Man.
How did he see him? He saw him. Cyfoxy gets the catch on Roasties. Really well done there. That's going to slow down the initial momentum heavily here. We see a bursting shot into potential trap. They land that full trap. Who's going to be the target? Jamili immediately uses that temporal shield. That's absorbing all of this damage right now, and he's going to dip low and then go right back to full HP. Now Rubcup needs the one to sustain him. Rubcup's charging across the map. He's looking to get his hands dirty. He's going to land that stun onto Milkman. Dilly appears to be the target. He's trying to kite Roasties. Dilly looks like he's going to be able to survive with some nice off stuns there from Cyfox.
Yeah, Milkman manages to land that premonition on the first polymorph. He's playing Relentless, so this DR polymorph not going to be super effective, but Dilly in a lot of trouble. Milkman has no trinket for this blind. Triple DR ring potentially coming in. Does Rubcup have any follow-up CC? Looks like Jamili opting to get that triple DR polymorph. Dilly's still going to be in a lot of trouble, and Milkman with no trinket, this is dangerous for him.
Yeah, Cyfoxy catching Roasties in that stun combo. Rubcup trading out some defensive cooldowns, but they redirect the damage to himself. I would almost like to see them swap to Rubcup. He's very low. Jamili, though, is still the target. This could easily be the Cauterize. He's trying to stay alive. He's barely hanging on there by a thread. Blessing of Protection and Divine Shield. Rubcup is running low on cooldowns now for the rest of the fight. Dilly as well. It could be an opening. This is still anybody's match.
Yeah, that was Pain Suppression as well as Exhilaration. If the Rejects can get one more clean setup and survive, but it's unlikely. Rubcup has no defensive cooldowns left whatsoever. Jamili goes for the Dragon's Breath. No Cauterize available. This could be his first and only Ice Block available to him as he gets lower and lower. Big heal coming in from Rubcup as you see him in the back, spamming out those Holy Lights to keep Jamili alive, but Cyfoxy and Dilly just putting out way too much damage.
Oh, this could easily be a boom headshot moment for Jamil. He's got to be careful. Rubcub's doing his best to keep him alive, and he's able to hold on the ice block right now. Roasties is going to pop that Vendetta. They have an opening on Dillypoo. Roasties needs to stay on his target to take this first game. Jamili's securing the crowd control. Roasties is committing the damage. Cyfox is trying to save Dilly. He bought him a couple of seconds for Milkman to get a powered shield. He's looking for Shadow Men's. He's connecting the heals in these final seconds to keep Dilly alive, but this meteor hits huge. Double Dragon's Breath. Milkman peeled away. Is he going to be able to save the day? Rubcub caught into a trap. He trinkets out. He's trying to keep his team aggressive. One more poly on Milkman. They go for the Hammer of Justice. Dilly is still on the run. Jamili is dipping low. Dilly bursting shots the rogue away. A bit of an overlap with the stun, but it does buy him a couple seconds. But there's the full polymorph. Dilly's all alone. Will Dilly be able to make it out alive?
There's the no overlap on the CC though. Milkman gets out of the crowd control, can toss out those Shadow Men to keep Dilly alive, and now Jamili may have overstayed his welcome, but still has that one ice block, very key for him to survive, but the combustion's up. Vendetta's almost available. Dilly has the aspect of the turtle. He's gonna have to do a good job with that. Rubcub falling very far behind though, as Roasties takes a lot of damage. Rubcub almost completely tapped on mana in this situation. Bursting shot into the trap. Dilly gets lower and lower. Goes into the ice block. That was such a close
Master
call.
Spell though. Cauterize just came up again. Jamili's on the run, trying to avoid the damage. Cyfoxy can't keep up. Rubcub goes for one final push. This is going to be it, but he gets out of the hodge into the blind, but Dilly has all of his defensives. Unless Dilly throws right now, he should not die, and if they survive, Rubcubs can basically have nothing. There's no pressure onto Jamili, and it looks like they've secured a full poly, but he disengages on top of him to break him out. Really well done. Dilly's on the run. If he can just survive this setup, they've got everything in the books to win this. He's trying to be greedy. I don't really know how I feel about the greed here. He's getting counter pressure. Windburst connects. Nice counter shot. Dilly MVP, and they find the kill. Sneakier Snakes in the lead, 1-0.
Wow, what an insane back and forth game between these two teams. The Rejects was so close to actually securing a kill. Milkman playing that relentless talent, that is very dangerous against the composition.
Skill Cap Black over in Europe on this map, so it's a very good strategy to do on maps that are this small.
Everything on the line for Sneakier Snakes in this finals. This is a best of 7. Sneakier Snakes leads 1-0. Who are they going to open up on?
All right, Jamili seems to be the target for now. Rubcub is charging across the map for a stun. He's going to land that. Jamili needs to get a poly, but that right there, that skull bash on Jamili stops the polymorph. If Blessing Protection was used in this instance, Jamili would have landed that polymorph. Now he's going to be behind. He's caught in the middle of the map. He's got a Hunter Dilly free casting on him. He did ultimately land the sheep though, and look how far behind Dilly is. So I think with a couple more aggressive plays, if they secure these sheeps, Dilly could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but that was not the aspect of the turtle, but Jamili did not commit the combustion. So also the Rejects splitting up those offensive cooldowns. Key for both teams, as they do have to work through so many of those small defenses in this matchup. There's no reason to use them all. Full trap onto Rubcub. Jamili now taking some damage. He trinkets out, trying to get that pressure onto Dilly, but a nice grip from Milkman is going to slow that down.
Yeah, Jamili is still kind of just taking damage. Rubcub charges over, lands the hammer. Jamili blinks, Skull Bash denies the polymorph, goes for Ring of Frost, gets stunned on the Ring of Frost. Now he's just in so much trouble. It's cauterized proc. He has to block. I really think
if he just
some more offensive Blessing of Protections, he just lands it. He gets it anyway. And look, Dilly's in so much trouble. He had the aspect of the turtle. Jamili could have just gotten away free for that with the Blessing of Protection, and they would have got Dilly's turtle. So I think the Rejects need to focus more on aggressive plays because now they're really far behind.
Yeah, this is not looking good for the Rejects. Not the worst, as Milkman is playing that relentless. All they need is one clean setup, and they can take Dilly down. Dilly's still taking some solid pressure here. Vendetta's going to be available for Roasties. Combustion available for Jamili. They have all the tools they need to close out this game. The offensive Blessing of Protection going out, or defensive Blessing of Protection going out on Jamili, but he's going to use it for the full Ring of Frost. Kidney shot on Dilly. Dilly has no aspect of the turtle. He's trying to kite away the best he can, but Milkman, he's out of the Ring of Frost. Into
he used the human racial and premonition, the Ring of Frost, so it was really well done from Milkman. He's going to keep his team going, extend this game another 30 seconds. Nice eat by Roasties. He's going to extend the game for time for Jamili to get topped, and Divine Shield won't be forced, so great plays from Milkman and Roasties there to keep both of their teams in the game.
Yeah, Jamili's still just holding on to that combustion. Really wanted to use it for a rainy day. I'm not sure when he's going to pull the trigger. Ooh. Maybe the next full polymorph. Hodge on the Milkman. Do they have any follow-up CC? Jamili going for the polymorph. Unfortunately, not able to get it. There's the Blessing of Protection once again out on Jamili, but a little bit too late. And unfortunately, now he's not going to be able to get that polymorph he's so crucially needed in order to close out the game. Cyfoxy's just all over him with the maims and the interrupts over and over.
Is he going to get it?
Defending Milkman.
Oh, Milkman used the premonition. If Jamili gets this, he blinks, he lands it. Dilly has nothing. Do they have the stun for Dilly? They need a stun on Dilly. There's a Shadow Step kidney shot. They need another crowd control, but he gets denied by Cyfoxy. Cyfoxy's just taking Jamili, and he's just a toy. He's just never letting him do anything. Dilly pops that true shot. Big crits coming, and Sneakier Snakes lead 2-0.
That was a good game by Sneakier Snakes, but honestly, the rejects, they could have played that so much better. You know, at that one moment we said if they just used the bop offensively, they would have got the polymorph, and Jamili wouldn't have had to use his ice block. They wouldn't have gotten cauterized, and they would have...
They're going to have to play flawless for this one, Ben.
Yeah, what is the rejects going to do? Sneakier Snakes, game plan, very straightforward. The rejects going to have to create opportunities out of thin air. Who is their main target? It looks like Dillypoo's already going to get leg swept. There's the incapacitate on the Milkman. It looks like they want to get aggressive really early on. Dillypoo actually charging in for CC. This could be dangerous for him. Jamili pops the incarnation. Seth Curry didn't commit any offensive cooldowns, but Rubcub is now into the full trap, and it's Sneakier Snake's time to get aggressive.
That was a good setup by the rejects. The incapacitate and cap totem into root beam, but Jamili didn't even get any cooldowns with his incarnation. Incarnation is supposed to be the big punch to get the aspect of the turtle out of the way, which means that Dillypoo is at a massive advantage. He's not going to have to worry about that threat, and they can play more aggressively as a result.
Yep, there is the incapacitate into the Fists of Fury. Dilly still taking a decent amount of damage, but Jamili just forced to play so defensive in this matchup.
That was so uncoordinated. Seth Curry just pulled the trigger on his Serenity with no crowd control whatsoever. They're just trying to kill with raw damage. Nice interrupt there by Dilly onto the full moon, denying the kill. Milkman going for a Light's Wrath. They're going to silence Jamili. He was able to get it dispelled off by Seth Curry, though. That's some good teamwork between the two poison dispels on the team. Rubcub caught into a binding shot. They're trying to land a trap. I'm not sure if Dilly actually ended up missing it or he just held on to it. We'll have to wait and see. Rubcub's trying to avoid the CC. Now a bash, but a leg sweep denies the trap. Well done from Seth. Buying time for Rubcub to get the heals. We see a capacitor totem stun now on the Milkman. Jamili looking to maybe set up a root beam, and Seth dipped very low there. The root beam, I believe, actually got trinketed by Milkman, so he's going to get out of that crowd control chain for now. But if they can get these in-capped into root beams, that's the win condition. Dilly still stays ahead on cooldowns. There's really no pressure. They're winning on mana, at least, for Sneakier Snakes. And if they can keep that mana advantage, that could be a win condition.
That was so scary for Seth. Goes down to 5% HP, throws a touch of karma out. Now he is such a good target. He's going to need his port in a good position. Ports back, rakes down onto Seth, though. He needs to run away. He's in a lot of trouble as Rubcub is caught into that full trap. Is Milkman going to push in for the fear? Doesn't look like he wants to just yet. Bursting shot onto Rubcub. Seth Curry still just trying to play defense, throwing out some heals on himself. He manages to stabilize, but still, Seth Curry could be in a whole bunch of trouble.
I like that Cyfoxy is saving his trinket so that he can get out of crowd control during his cooldowns rather than just using it for basically no reason. That was some good patience there by Cyfoxy to hold on to that trinket. He can use it later. Rubcub and Jamili are doing decent with these hit and runs. They pull back to the pillar, then when cap totem's up, they make a push. So let's see, where's the incapacitate? Cyfoxy right now is on the back foot. There's a root solar beam. Landed full duration. This could be trouble for Cyfoxy. Is he ready? At the same time, Rubcub is in a trap. It's a race to the finish. Who will fall first? Will it be Jamili? Will it be Dilly? It looks like Jamili's the one who's really far behind. He's looking for a full moon. If this crits, it could be big. He gets knocked on it. Nice interrupts there from Dilly, really being the MVP right now in this series. Milkman playing very far away. Jamili's trying to push up for some cyclones. Gets interrupt, baits it, looks for the full moon. Not able to land it just yet, unfortunately. That full moon is impending with incarnation up. It could be a massive hit. Could throw the game in favor. Dilly sees the incarnation, says, okay, I'm going back here. I'm going to chill out, avoid all of that burst damage. Really good awareness there. Double Fist of Fury from Seth. And we're just waiting for that root solar beam play from Jamili, really, so that they can get some plays.
Yeah, Sneakier Snakes has been on point with their interrupts. Both Cyfoxy and Dilly doing an excellent job. And now Jamili just out of line of sight in bear form, just trying to tank through these bleeds, trying to tank through that 100 damage as Rubcub is caught into that CC. Jamili gets interrupted. This could be the Spirit Link totem coming in from Rubcub, but he manages to connect the healing wave. Seth Curry committing that touch of karma as well. So no touch of karma is going to be available.
Here it is.
Could be in some big trouble. Incapacitated on Milkman.
Yeah, and there's the root solar beam. There's the follow-up. This could be the kill. Aspect of the turtle and trinket were overlapped, and it's these miracle burst windows that the rejects need to find a kill. They found an opening. They need to stay alive for another 30 seconds to abuse it.
Yeah, 30 seconds on that incarnation. That's where Jamili's going to be in a whole bunch of trouble as he's still hovering around 40% HP. The bursting shot goes out onto Rubcub, but I think it breaks, so they're not able to fully capitalize on that. Healing wave's going to come in. Rubcub tops off his team. There's the incapacitate on Milkman once again, and Dilly is actually going to be in a little bit of trouble. Seth Curry's been doing an excellent job in this matchup, making sure he's getting the crowd control out, getting the stuns on Dilly, and creating pressure for his team.
Yeah, Rubcub setting up an Earthen Shield totem, just trying to reduce the pressure. Jamili's still looking for a full moon. He's just not able to find it this whole game. But if he can sneak that in, it's going to be a ton of damage. We see a silence on Jamili. Seth not actually dispelling this one, so Jamili's gonna have to sit through that. We see paralysis. RubCub jumps over. He's looking for the cap totem. He's gonna snipe that. Jamili's now pushing in. Incarnation, and he's got the root beam follow-up. Can Milkman dispel the root beam before it lands? No, and Dilly's in a whole lot of trouble. Star Surges are flying. Dilly's down to half, but he just doesn't seem to care. He's just standing in the face of Jamili. He's gonna interrupt the clone. He breaks up the crowd control chain, and he stays alive. That courageous play to break up the clone keeps his team in the game, and now RubCub's almost tapped on mana, and Sneakier Snakes are looking to close.
Yeah, Jillypoo looking for offense now. Wants to push in. There's the full bash on RubCub, but a Fist of Fury stun coming in from Seth, denying that trap for now. Incarnation still for Jamili. It's just going to fade, so some of that pressure is going to fall. Incarnation was used by Foxy as well, so both teams running out of offensive. Oh! Trap though, Seth caught into the maim. No trinket available as he gets taken down in a stun lock from Foxy. Very nicely done. Sneakier Snakes 1 game away.
One more game. Uno mas for the Sneakier Snakes. They're just completely shutting out the rejects. I think the strategies from the rejects just aren't good for the matchup. And then the later this year to represent North America, and they will knock the move out of the top 4 position. Let's see if Dilly can do it.
Yeah, let's see what Jamili can do on the Shadow Priest. He's going to need to be supported quite well by Roasties on that Subtlety Rogue. I feel like Dillypoo is probably going to be the target of choice. Roasties charging in, gets the full kidney shot. Dilly gets cheap shot. Big damage coming up from Jamili. Nice fear on the Foxy, so he can get out those casts. Shadow Crash as well, but Dillypoo looks like he's going to be fine. Uses the Feign Death. Milkman dispels. Now everyone from Sneakier Snakes is at 100% HP. That first go from the rejects not really accomplishing too much.
Nice explosive trap. He knocked Jamili out of the Earthen Shield Totem, so Jamili's trying to crawl back into that to get some damage reduction. He's looking for a Mass Dispel on the trap. The utility from the Shadow Priest would make you think that it could be favored in this matchup, so at least that's a decent theory crap, but look at their HP. Everyone's down below 50%. Vampiric Embrace is used by Jamili. That's going to heal his whole team from his damage, and now finally, some counter pressure. We see Foxy at 10%, and he's just dying to dots. Dilly's at 50%. Milkman trying to pick him back up with a well-timed Archangel offensive penance. Foxy's trying to push through. He used a lot of defensive cooldowns to stay offensive. If Jamili can keep up this pressure, they could find an opportunity.
Yep, full trap on RubCub. Jamili into the main. Dispersion is forced out, so big defensive cooldown. Milkman stabilized his team. There's the full kidney shot from Roasties. Jamili in position to land a fear as well. Pain suppression going to be used on a Foxy. That situation was excellently read by Milkman to slow down any sort of pressure the rejects could get.
All right, Foxy has Incarnation, but right now Dilly is in trouble. Shadow Crash coming in onto Dilly. Feign Death the dots off. He's trying to reduce the pressure, but Jamili just free casting Vampiric Touches. Tons of damage up from Jamili. Mind Flays being channeled. RubCub though caught into the stun. Double bursting shot. Dilly needs to snipe the trap. Jamili's trying to eat it. He gets stunned away. Wyvern Sting instead. He pre-links the Wyvern Sting. Nice play from RubCub.
Yeah, Void Shift still going to be available for Jamili, so he can swap his HP with anyone on his team. Full trap on DR.
Oh no!
RubCub, so much pressure onto Jamili. He goes for the Master Spell. He's able to get it off. Void Shift still available. He uses it onto Roasties, but Roasties could be in some trouble. He has no evasion, no nothing. Smoke Bomb's going to be dropped out. Dillypoo has a response. Uses the aspect of the turtle, the barrier as well. So Dillypoo should be completely fine. Nicely read by Sneakier Snakes, and they're going to be able to continue this onslaught onto Jamili.
Yeah, Jamili gets silenced. He can't cast. He can't heal himself. He's in a lot of trouble. RubCub is having trouble picking him back up. He's trying to get some defensive mind controls. They silence into kidney shot. They need to go for the winning play. Foxy pre-walls. He knows that he has them against the ropes. He's just trying to stay aggressive, but this is an offensive play that can be punished later on. Dilly caught into a cheap shot. They're trying to take him out. Will they find it? There's the bash. They need the trap. Can Dilly land the trap? He goes for Wyvern Sting instead. He's going to play it safe. Roasties get swapped to. And Sneakier Snakes. Sneakier Snakes are looking like they're going to be able to make it. Roasties is hanging out, but it's not enough. And Sneakier Snakes 4-0. The rejects, they're going to the spring finals, knocking the move out of the top 4.
Sneakier Snakes slithering their way through the lower bracket and into the spring finals. I've used that joke once before. I'm going to use it again, but honest that they play. Zico, tell me about these teams.
Skill Cap Black, Waz, Chas, Raikou, as well as Swapsy, playing primarily that Rogue Mage Priest, but they have a couple of other tricks up their sleeve. They won the season. Then we also have XRB to the moon, going to be Looney, Zeepai, and Blizzo, having a very great performance as well. Then we have Ascendant, going to be Ratapai, Maro, Villaye, as well as Akaros playing Rogue Mage Priest. And then we have Reformed, which is basically the European version of the Sneakier Snakes, playing primarily that jungle. But they also have Gelu on that roster. And then, of course, Method Orange, no strangers to North America, going to be Sea-Doo, Mez, and Trill, as well as the rejects that we just saw play now, and Super Frogs, primarily playing that Assassination Arcane RMP, and then Sneakier Snakes as the jungle.